we've been able to take a rather closer look at this mighty aeroplane, the Sukhoi Su-27, the flanker. And this is such an interesting display to watch, Mark. It's not your standard fighter displays. It looks every inch the heavy fighter that it is.
Yeah, this is an absolutely enormous aircraft. It got airborne now with a takeoff point for its display. At the time, and I remember weight, and it's certainly at 15-metre wingspan, 50% bigger than the F-16, so a completely different class of aircraft. Aircraft's excellent combat performance. Post-Soviet era, the original Su-27 series has continued to equip the Russian armed forces and has carried on serving. States and several export customers, but the design has continued to be developed for Russia and for overseas markets, and some of the latest derivatives incorporate thrust vectoring for even greater agility.
very slow speed.
Yes, one of the manoeuvres that Soviet test pilots amazed audiences with first the MiG-29 and then the Su-27 at Western displays was the tail slide. We saw it in the West for the first time, would you believe, 30 years. That, as much as anything, a tribute to the engine performance of the aircraft. The two Lyulka, or now Saturn AL-31F turbofans. Here comes another.
All of the control surfaces working in the opposite sense as you slide backwards. So left rudder actually moves the nose to the right, and up and to go in the opposite direction.
It's still not something I've ever seen performed by a conventional, a non-thrust vectoring Western fighter. At very slow speed indeed, with the air brake deployed.
In exactly the same position as the F-15. That air brake actually reminds me that the aircraft at certain angles looks like an F-15, at other angles it looks like an F-16.
System, a new instrument landing system. Crucially also for international operations, a transponder that's compatible with international standards. It's interesting reading some of the documentation we get to see relating to the aircraft and their display routines in advance of the show, and some of the details for the flanker talk about what they get up to in the course of a normal day's operations. And as far as air combat training was concerned, it said they would perform 1v1 dogfighting, 2v2, and then melee.
That's what we call a monster. As the aircraft rolls out, you see the giant air brake with some aerodynamic braking, and then two parachutes will come out to retard the aircraft.
Great to see back in the REACT flying programme then for the second successive year from the 831st Guards Tactical Aviation Brigade of the Ukrainian Air Force, the Sukhoi Su-27P1M. Well, just one item now remains, and fittingly, in this RAF 100 year, it's the front line of the Royal Air Force. And still, incidentally, a little bit of the tricolore smoke hangs in the air over the runway. So now, the Royal Air Force takes centre stage for the final act in this first day's flying display at the Royal International Air Tattoo 2018 from number 29 Squadron at RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire, Flight Lieutenant Jim Peterson with